All right, Ronan MMA, welcome back to the channel. Last night we witnessed one of the biggest championship upsets in UFC history in general, but most certainly in recent history. Now, there was one moment in this fight that I truly believe changed the course of the entire fight, and I am not saying that Sean Strickland would not have won had this not happened, because every single thing that he did was perfect. His game plan was executed perfectly. His defense was on point, and not just in the boxing realm, but also he checked the vast majority of the leg kicks that Israel Adesanya threw. He was pressing forward the entire time, had Israel Adesanya backed up against the cage, which takes away a massive part of his game, okay? Because Israel Adesanya, I said this in the lead up, needs space to work. If Sean Strickland wants to win this fight, he will have to pressure. He will have to eat some shots. Now, he did not really eat any shots, but he certainly did press him forward because Israel Adesanya needs to be able to feint. His boxing is not as good as a lot of people think it is, and what makes him so good is his kicking game and then everything mixed together. Now, he's very good at like throwing a right hand after a kick or something like this, but his boxing purely is not that good. And when you've got him backed up against the cage and you are closing the distance, he doesn't have space to throw kicks. He doesn't have space to throw feints. He can throw a hip feint all day. When they're in this range, Sean Strickland knows you don't have room to throw the kick you want to throw. And even if you do manage to get it up, there will be no power on it whatsoever because you don't have the you need space to generate force with a kick. Now, there are certain guys that can throw kicks from very in close. Petr Yan is a good example, but somebody as long and tall as Israel Adesanya is not going to generate power with the amount of space that Sean Strickland was giving him. I truly believe that this right hand changed the course of the fight because after this, it seemed as though Izzy was a little bit hesitant to engage with Sean Strickland in the pocket, and rightfully so, man, because Sean Strickland showed him, I'm going to beat you to the punch every time. This is why. We have seen Israel Adesanya have success against multiple opponents in the pocket, okay? Robert Whittaker got finished in the pocket. Israel Adesanya throws big hooks in the pocket. But the thing is he needs to throw 2 or 3 before he really lands one clean, which is what happened against Robert Whittaker. He also needs space to lean back, because if you're that close to a guy who is that long, his punches, you're like swallowing them whole. You're completely crowding them, and he doesn't have room to throw the kind of punches that he would want to throw at range. When you have him this close, he's not going to be throwing straight shots because he can't. There's no way, especially because Israel Adesanya keeps his hands relatively low. He can't just throw like a tight shot from guard. His hands are always down here, so he needs room to work. When he does throw hooks in the pocket, he typically leans back so that his hook can come in a little bit closer, because he doesn't have tight, clean, crisp boxing hooks where it's just like a quick little pivot. They're always coming from back here. They don't even come at like a 90-degree angle that you would want them to. They kind of come up like this. He has to lean back to pull them in a little bit closer so that they actually connect with your chin, because he's so much longer than the vast majority of his opponents. Sean Strickland had a pretty significant reach disadvantage coming into this fight. When Sean Strickland got him backed up against the cage, though, he started it off with a jab. He followed it up with the right hand, knowing you can throw a counter hook. I know you can't throw a kick from this area right here, from this situation. You can throw a counter hook all you want. I'm going to beat you. Whereas with Paulo Costa, they weren't throwing clean, straight shots like this in the pocket. Robert Whittaker maybe would come in with a jab, but once they got in the pocket, he was trying to hit Izzy with hooks, and Izzy's hooks beat him because he was able to lean back out of the way of Rob's, and by virtue of leaning back, tucking his in a little bit and connecting perfectly on the chin. Sean Strickland did not allow that. Let's take a look at this right hand that, in my opinion, changed the course of the entire fight. So we're 31 seconds left in the round. Sean Strickland, something else he did very, very well is his entries. He was constantly lifting that lead leg up. Sometimes he would actually like walk and then exaggerate the leg lift so that Izzy had no lead leg to chop away. He was literally changing stances, and as he would switch, he would keep his leg up at like belly button height, knee at belly button, and then step forward and do it again. As he's moving forward, he is keeping almost no weight on his lead leg, which is unbelievably difficult to do. Something else he's very good at, like right here, Israel Adesanya goes to throw a front kick up the middle. Just a few seconds before this, he had actually thrown a round kick. Sean Strickland knows when you can hit him. His distance management, his range management is phenomenal. he does not over-exaggerate any defensive maneuvers whatsoever if he doesn't need to. So if Israel Adesanya is going to throw a kick from here, Sean Strickland knows he is not hitting me. I'll just move back half an inch, and then that way you don't give Israel Adesanya a chance to maybe skirt out along and get out into the open. You don't give him the space, the moment to breathe. It's extremely... Dude, Sean Strickland's defense is unbelievable. He knows when he's in range. If he's in range, he'll block, he'll parry, he'll deflect, he'll check the kicks, he'll corral the body kicks, which is something else that he did unbelievably well. Something that Israel Adesanya himself is also very good at. We saw him do it against Paulo Costa multiple times. You kind of twist your body away or in the same direction that the kick is coming from, but then it hits kind of on the side, the back area, not so much your liver or your rib cage. And then you corral it, and it takes a ton of power off of it. Sean Strickland did that a bunch of times, but he knows that Israel Adesanya's not reaching him right here. Do you know what I mean? He's inching his way closer. He doesn't need to give Israel Adesanya another 6 inches by backing up away from something that he knows isn't going to hit him. So he just moves out of the way, comes forward, popping the jab out there. They're both kind of engaging in the hand fighting. As I said, Israel Adesanya right now his left hand's pretty high, right hand's out. And then he switches right here. His hands are low. This is why Sean Strickland was able to beat his hook. If Israel Adesanya had a nice tight hook from a traditional guard, that might not have happened. Israel Adesanya might have beat his straight shot, or at the very least deflected it on his attempt at a counter, but he wasn't able to do that because he throws big looping hooks. It just is what it is, man. We don't typically think of Israel Adesanya as a guy that just throws wild haymakers, but when they're in the pocket exchanging like this, he kind of does. So Sean Strickland enters. They are very close, dude. As Sean Strickland would say, dick to dick. Israel Adesanya's not getting much of any kickoff here. They are too close. He can't throw with the back leg, really, because he's not going to be able to generate power. He's not going to be able to step back and get that like leverage off of that. And the front kick, I mean, if you want to try and throw that up, you can. It's not going to do a whole lot off of that. Sean Strickland's pumping the jab out right here. Something else he's very good at. When Izzy's got his guard up, Sean doesn't need to hit him with a big stiff jab, a big power step-in jab. He's just trying to touch him. So he just kind of follows his face around the guard. Like, I don't need to try and break through your guard. That would be silly. And you're covering up, so why, you know what I mean? Just touch you. Now he knows, though, I'm in range 100%. And Izzy's in range also. But Sean Strickland also knows that Israel Adesanya throws big looping hooks from the pocket because he doesn't throw tight, crisp shots. His hands are low. Not at this moment, they're not, but when he throws the hook, they are. And because his arms are longer, he could try to throw a straight shot down the middle, but it's not going to land with as much power as Strickland's is because it's going to be intercepted before he can fully extend his punch. You know what I mean? Before you can get the twist on there, it'll already land because he's so much longer than Sean Strickland. So here's Sean Strickland, follows it up with that right hand. Izzy's hook, look at that, man. His hands were closer to his face before he threw the hook. He literally drops his hand to throw that hook, and Sean Strickland's right hand is basically already landed. Israel Adesanya's left hand is not even fucking close. He doesn't have the same space to lean back, to pull that hook in, because the cage is right there. And Sean Strickland avoids that left hand like the fucking plague. It doesn't even come close to landing, and Israel Adesanya is on his way down right at this very moment. I am still in shock at this fight in general, but this moment changed the course of this fight. And to be fair, it's not like it turned the tides. Do you know what I mean? Israel Adesanya wasn't picking Sean Strickland apart before this moment. It was a very close competitive chess match, essentially. They were both trying to figure each other out, both trying to get to the range that they wanted to get to, and nothing really substantial had landed until this moment. But after this, Israel Adesanya did not want to engage in the pocket. He just didn't, dude. And then you start to see, Sean Strickland tag a couple more on the end of that one too. He was throwing the left hook that bopped Izzy on the nose a couple times. He was phenomenal work. Let's take one more look at that because I want to try and pause it at the moment that Israel Adesanya drops his hand to throw the left hook. And again, the cage is there. If he was able to lean back a foot, right, he might be able to pull that hook in a little bit closer, but he can't. So Sean Strickland working his way in, knows that kick is not landing, doesn't even fucking flinch or move or anything. This is something that people, including myself, thought were going to be an issue, were the feints, the fakes of Israel Adesanya. And I did say this, to be fair, Sean Strickland he reacts to feints pretty responsibly. Like, Dan Hardy was giving him a bunch of shit and whatever for the way that he reacts to stuff, but he's not really giving you a whole lot to work with. There's not a whole lot of openings, because while he may drop his hand down low to block a body kick, which in turn you might think, oh, well, then I'll go up high next time. I'll fake to the body. He'll go to parry my body kick down there. It'll come up top. That's a lot harder to do when you've got a guy constantly moving forward and you're literally skirting along the fence. Do you know what I mean? So Sean Strickland's entering, Israel Adesanya switching stances, doing the movement that he likes to do to get out of range, right? Sean Strickland popping his jab, has that shoulder. Dude, this shoulder is one of the biggest parts of Sean Strickland's defense. It is beautiful how he works that shoulder roll in. The block, you see, like, he reacts a little bit to feints, but he's not doing a whole lot. Touches him with the jab. Israel Adesanya brings his hand all the way out to there to throw that hook. His hand was here. He had the guard up like this. Strickland touched him with the jab. He brings it all the way back down here because he's so used to being able to lean back as he does it. And Sean Strickland is already throwing that right. Dude, this performance was perfect. This was one of the best title performances in recent memory by Sean Strickland. And it's crazy that people, like, including myself, man, but a lot of people could not see this coming. We saw that it was, it's not impossible that Sean Strickland wins. But when you think about how close Sean Strickland fights his opponents, and then you think about the weapons that Israel Adesanya has, from that range, it's almost nil, dude. Like, dude, I swear, he wings his hooks. He pulled it all the way back to there to throw it. From here, I'm not telling Israel Adesanya how to fucking strike, okay? Because obviously, he's a hell of a lot better striker than I will ever become. However, that is one of the first things they teach you in a traditional kickboxing class. You do not bring your hand way down here to wing a body kick. You do not bring your hand down to your fucking thighs to throw an uppercut. Everything is supposed to be tight. You're supposed to, you know what I mean? So that's one aspect of Israel Adesanya's game that maybe he wants to go back and work on. And it has always been like I don't know the best way to phrase it, but the worst part of his striking game is his pure boxing, especially when they're in an actual boxing range, not when he's just whipped up a head kick and then he's following it with a right hand before his foot hits the mat. Do you know what I mean? So credit to Sean Strickland. Fucking phenomenal performance. Unbelievable defense. Unbelievable fight IQ. When to engage, when not to engage, when to let him fucking move around and I'll just come back and find you. When not to move out of the way of certain things, when to block, when to pair. Everything was perfectly done. Great job, Sean Strickland. Picture perfect right hand that put Israel Adesanya essentially on his ass and, in my opinion, changed the course of the fight. Like and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. I'll see you at the next video. Bye-bye.